What's up, guys? Welcome to the Swanky Cat Productions channel. My name is Ben. This is my 2021 Tenere back here that I have still not been able to ride. Getting closer, but the foot is still considered broken until I can get some new x-rays done, which hopefully will be this week. But anyway, what I'm going to be working on right now is putting the new high fender kit on the Tenere 700. Now, originally, before I looked into some other parts that I'm going to be putting on the bike, I had planned on just doing the method where you kind of cut the front of this fender off, leave the back half where all of the brake lines and the ABS sensor is attached to, and then just bolting a new kind of universal fender up to the bottom of the triple tree clamp there. That is definitely an option. However, like I said, I've got some stuff coming in the mail that the Camel ADV kit will help me out with a bit, so that is the kit that I decided to go with. Actually, since I have bought the Camel ADV kit, it looks like Tusk has come out with their own kit, which is slightly cheaper. And they do also send you a fender, where the Camel ADV kit, you have to buy your own fender. I actually bought the wrong fender up there. If I wanted to install that one, that's the YZ fender, I believe. That's kind of a bigger, longer fender. If I wanted to install that, I would have to remove and replace my plastic radiator guard with the stock Yamaha mesh guard that is a much lower profile design than this one is. So I actually, after I got done watching the video on the install and realized that, I went and purchased a different fender that should hopefully be coming in the mail before my foot is good to go and I'm able to get on ride this thing. That would be pretty disappointing if there was yet another roadblock before I got to ride my Tenere. So anyways, I'm going to get started on this though and just hope that everything kind of falls into place here. I'm not going to do a real in-depth install video. If you guys are looking for a video like that, Corey over at Camel ADV, I can put a link down in the description, or maybe I can put one of those little things that pops up here on the, what is it, the left of the screen, I think. Hopefully it's up there. You can go check out that video. That is an awesome how-to video. Definitely goes way into depth with all the different fasteners and brake lines and all that sort of stuff that you got to do with this. I'm not going to try to mimic that. That's already out there for you guys. I don't want to waste my time or yours trying to replicate that. So this is just kind of going to be a just a high overview and just kind of show you what it looks like on the bike, and we'll go from there, I think. So I'm going to start unbolting stuff, and we'll see where we get here today. So this install is definitely not for the faint of heart. You are going to be, of course, working with brake lines, because these are all going to get replaced here all the way down from the caliper up to the ABS module, which is under the gas tank, and that means you have to remove the side panels here, these side panels, the seat, and actually unbolt and slide the tank backwards. Not really all that complicated, but definitely not just 3 or 4 bolts that you got to take apart to get this thing on here. It does get a little bit complex. And I don't think I'm going to finish it all today, because as soon as my little guy wakes up, I've got to start cutting up some wood to make some nesting boxes for the chickens who are ready to lay eggs. Oh my goodness, you don't want to be held. Okay, I'm sorry. So to say that I'm doing this only for aesthetic reasons is probably a lie. That's definitely the main driver, is that I think it looks much cooler with a high fender. However, this low fender, especially with the brake lines thrown over it like this, kind of can be dangerous, especially in the type of terrain that I ride. If you guys have seen my other videos, a lot of the times I am on just well broke in gravel ATV trails, but pretty often I do get myself into some kind of hairy old logging roads where we're jumping over sticks and logs and stuff. And if you catch one of those in the wrong spot here, that could definitely be a big problem and possibly a trip ender. So I think I'm going to feel a heck of a lot better having the fender and the brake lines kind of further away from the tire like this. You also don't have to worry about mud getting caked on the tires and packed up inside here and giving you issues. There we go. Finally. Looks better already, doesn't it? If only it was that easy. Alright, so I've got all the brake lines, ABS line loose. The next thing that I did was unbolt this bracket here. Hello. Oop, there we go. So it just pops out like that. There were just 2 small little bolts holding that on. Whoops. These panels come off super easy. It's just these 3 bolts here, and this just sort of pops back off. Then you just gotta unplug this. Of course, there are the 3 on the inside here, the little quarter turn pop deals that I forgot about. seem to be having a hard time making this anything but a how-to video. But it is not a how-to video. Just left this all taken apart when I put the radiator guard on from R&G. There we go. Got that off there. So there we go. Now that brake line is completely loose from the entire radiator guard assembly. Still, of course, gotta pull them off of the calipers and drain the fluid out of them. And that line runs up to that ABS module, I think I described earlier, right up there. And because of that, since it's way up in there with pretty much no access, that's why we've got to remove the tank, or I guess not remove the tank, just pull the tank back a couple inches so we can get in there. Back seat comes off, and then this is bolted down through 2 holes right here. We just got to remove those 2. And I think it looks like they actually give you a tool right here to do that. And that just kind of pulls back there. So by removing that seat, then this has given us access to all these bolts here, which we'll all need to get removed. Alright, so before I start pulling these fasteners out, I'm going to do kind of a slow motion overview of all of them, both for you and for me, in case I get confused about which one goes where by the time I go to put this back together. Alright, so here comes this panel. That's right, it's got that goofy heavy-duty Velcro on it. Alright, so the little guy is awake. They were just down here visiting. They're showing him how I've got nothing constructive done, really. Just took a bunch of parts off the bike that are now in a pile on the workbench. But I feel good about what I got done anyways. Everything is kind of ready to go for tomorrow when I get back down here to work on it. We'll be just pulling off the tank and stuff. It sounds like Jerry's here with some salt and supplies for the chickens, so we'll pick this up probably tomorrow. Alright, so I am back down here working again. One thing Corey did not do in his video is show you exactly what comes in the box, so I'm going to open this up and show you guys exactly what you'll get if you order this kit. And I actually don't want to pull too much out of here, because there's something else in here other than just the high fender kit. Just have to wait for another video for that one. So that's actually the high fender kit. It all fits into here. So there we go. We got instructions and a decal, all the new brake lines and bolts and banjos, assorted fasteners number 2, block off brackets for where the old fender was attached, and the high fender mount / brake splitter. So before I put the high fender mount / splitter and the new lines on, I think what I'm going to do is get these old lines unbolted and start draining those a bit. I'm, I guess, kind of avoiding pulling this tank off. I'm not sure how well it's going to sit on there if the bike is just on the side stand. I do have my little motorcycle stand down here, but for some reason it seems like this thing is really tippy on there. I don't know if it's just the factory skid plate that makes it that way or what the deal is. The KLR was always fine on it, but this is kind of tippy and I don't really like that, so I don't know. I'll probably have to stick it up on there eventually. I'm just kind of avoiding it, I guess. But we will probably get the cat out of here and then let these brake lines start draining. I see honey badger feet. Hi, honey.
Hi.
What's going on, buddy?
What's Teddy doing?
Yeah, hi. Alright, I'm gonna let that drain and then eventually I'll pull that other side off. So I wasn't really sure how much fluid was gonna come out of this. I don't know if it's completely done draining. I also don't know if you guys can see what I'm showing you. But that's all I've ended up with so far. Not really too much. And I actually haven't checked if I have any .4 in the garage. I know I have some really old stuff, but I don't know how much is actually left in it. So was thinking about saving this. Doesn't really look like it would have been worth saving anyways. Now it's mixed with coffee grounds, so I guess maybe I'll have to buy some new stuff, but can't ride it anyways, right? As much as it sucks that I can't get on my new Tenere, and as bad as this whole situation has been, especially with a 10-month-old, I have to say, of course, I'm very lucky to be alive and still be able to get around as well as I have been. But also, this whole situation really hasn't been near as bad as I thought it would be. I'm definitely itching to get on the bike, but a couple of you have mentioned in the comment section that it must be nice to work on a clean bike, and it is so nice to work on a clean bike. It's also super nice that I can kind of take little bites out of the projects. I don't have to do it all at once, especially with the little guy running around. I have to help my wife as much as possible, which is not very much. I'm not able to do a whole lot because he's way quicker than I am, but it is really nice to be able to just work on this a little bit and then just let it sit. So as bad as this whole situation is, it's kind of the silver lining. It is definitely nice to not have to worry about dirt and grime when I'm doing stuff like this, brake line work. If you guys have watched my channel, you know that I never wash my bikes, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting all this stuff out of the way and then not having to wrench on the bike when it's all full of mud. Well, that's interesting. It seems like if I put the scissor portion on the opposite side of the bike, magically it sits level, or pretty close to it anyways, right? Yeah, way more level than last time. Boy, does that look cool with those bark busters on there. And I think it actually looks a lot better just without the low fender on it too. So I would say this is the way to do it. It definitely sits a lot better, and the kickstand doesn't get in the way of the little wrench when you're cranking it up. So pretty happy with that. I'm definitely glad that it sits on there as nice as it does. It feels pretty good. And I can put a link down in the description for this jack if you guys are interested in that. I think I talked about it a little bit last time when I was putting on the RNG case covers, but I really do like this jack. You just got to make sure you put a whole bunch of blue Loctite on it when you get it. I think when mine came out of the box, one of the bolts was laying in the bottom of the box. So definitely not something you want to put under your bike without some Loctite holding everything in place. So I think we probably still need to pull this off. I'd kind of like it if we didn't have to do that, but I don't think we can get around it. There were a couple little button style fasteners in here that I had to remove, but I think with both of those out of the way, I think the tank is ready to slide back. I'm just going to kind of be wiggling it back. It's on two rubber isolators up front there, but we do want to be gentle because the sending unit does hang off the bottom of it. And of course there's hoses attached. We don't need to go too far back. So yeah, I guess personally I don't see a reason to remove this. It's two less fasteners, so I think we're just gonna leave it as is. Yeah, and it looks like we've got access to where we need to get access, which is that guy right there. That's the one we want because that's the one that goes all the way out here and down by the radiator. So just for my own peace of mind here, I kind of poked around underneath to see what it is exactly that you need to be careful of, and it looks like the sending unit is kind of towards the back of the tank here, so that is the plastic fitting right here that you kind of got to be afraid of damaging, and then up here kind of behind my finger there is the actual sending unit. And I kind of think I would recommend actually leaving this mount on here, because then that keeps that plastic sending unit off of your snorkel. Alright, so I'm not sure how much fluid is going to come out of this. Hopefully not a whole lot. Holy crap. Afraid I'm going to rip my poor module off here. There we go. I'm going to have to remove that bolt and banjo washer. Try to snake this out without making too much of a mess. We do have to remove the crush washer that's still on there. Alright, so I have to stop myself right there. You're actually supposed to reuse this fastener on the ABS module and not put the new one in. So I've actually got this all back apart. That's why I'm wearing my owl shirt now all of a sudden. It's because it's a different day. And somebody commented they like my owl shirt, so I put the owl shirt on just for you. I am about to remove this bolt. The one that you pulled out of here initially should be going right back in here. The other thing that I actually noticed is that if you try to stick the copper washer, at least the one that I got anyways, on the original bolt that came out of there,
it won't go all the way down, and I apologize. I've just got my cell phone here. My good camera's upstairs, and I still got my broke foot, so I'm not going back up there. So I'm actually not going to use these copper washers that came with the kit. I'm going to use 2 of my old washers that came off the bike. Alright, so this is actually what you want to stick back in there. So I've got my original bolt that came out of it, and then I've got 2 of the aluminum crush washers on here. Obviously, one of them I'm going to put on the bottom side first, down there. Then I will swing this back around on top of it, and then I will put the bolt through with the other crush washer already on it. There we go, that's a little bit better. So now we've got the correct bolt in there. We've got the fitting at the correct angle, of course, and we've got 2 banjos in there. Silver on the top, and a little bit hard to make out. There it is. Silver on the bottom too. So I think before I make a mess here and knock that over, I'm just going to slide this forward and then bolt it back down. And when you're doing that, of course, make sure you are careful to line it up with the little rubber isolators here. This is actually really super nice that you can see those while you're working the tank forward. Those just sit inside of these guys right here. The KLR was actually kind of a pain. You couldn't see what the heck you were doing when you're putting the tank back on, so I really like this design that you can actually see what you're doing when you're doing it. Sliding it forward. Oh my gosh, is that nice being able to see that. Alright, so it is finally time to mount the Fender bracket / brake line splitter. And as Corey has on his website, these were printed upside down, and the way that you can tell which way yours is, whether it's printed correctly or not, basically these countersunk holes should be on the bottom side because they are the ones that are used to thread through and up into the bottom of the triple tree. And I've actually got something that's going over that anyway, so it doesn't matter. I've got my banjo bolt ready here with my crush washers. I'm going to pull this back out, and then I'm going to put this through my line that I just took off of the ABS module there. That's hanging down. Slide that through, put my other crush washer on, and then I'm going to thread that in. So then I'm just going to kind of leave that somewhat loose there and just let this hang, and then next we'll put our lines on for the individual calipers, which is going to be these guys right here. So the bent side is actually going to attach to both sides of this, and they're going to be oriented so kind of pulls away from the bracket. I'm just going to thread that in, and we will be able to get to these later once it's mounted up to the bottom of the bike to tighten them up. But just for now, it's easier to get these in just because there's not a whole lot of space to work with in here. Same exact thing on the other side. And actually, now that I think of it, I probably should have been paying a little bit of attention to where my ABS wire is here. I might have to actually undo those, but luckily I didn't tighten anything down. So this is definitely the time to make sure this is in the right spot. It does matter where this is oriented in relation to all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to check back with Corey's video and we'll get that figured out. Then I gotta go have some lunch. We got pizza here and I am starving. Alright, so I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but I do have this kind of in the wrong position here. I don't have to undo anything, but it's supposed to be behind everything, so nothing's really tied down here yet. However, this should be kind of independent of all of it. You guys can't see that at all, can you? How about now? Is that better? So that is our ABS line right there, and that is going to be behind all of this sort of stuff. Alright, so it is now time for this package because we are after these guys right there. I need 4 of those to bolt the splitter / mount up to the bottom of the triple tree. And we'll be using some Loctite on these. So you kind of want to do each one of these a little bit at a time. I'm kind of going to do a kind of a crisscross pattern just to make sure that it all kind of lands and rests where it's supposed to. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do then is run my lines down to my caliper. So that's going to come
out of the splitter here, go down between the tube guard and the tire, and then it'll run out the back. I've already got my Tenere clip spun around. Normally the threaded extrusion would be on the other side of here, but I pulled it off and flipped it around. So your line is going to end up tied to the back side of this, and then we'll eventually end up just like that, kind of in between the brake bleeder and the caliper itself. I need the fasteners out of the unopened bag here, which also has the smooth head Allen bolts in it. The package that was already opened that has these longer bolts left in it, and it also had the fasteners that hold the bracket to the triple tree. This whole package is just for this section of the bike. These are going to be for your fender. So I'm going to get this open. I will get probably these P-clamps put on, and then the clamps up here, and then I'll just show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, well that took me way longer than I will admit, but best thing I can tell you is that you're just going to have to leave yourself ample time to make sure that you're going to be able to get everything in a position that makes you comfortable. I'm not really going to go over any of this in too much detail. I'm just going to kind of show you how I ended up running all my cables and where I put my zip ties here. The way I've got it, I feel pretty darn comfortable about. One thing that I will mention is that you want to make sure you get this zip tie that goes around your factory wire chase here that holds your ABS wire in place. You want to make sure you put it behind the factory tie. So a little bit hard to see in here, but to the left, right where my fingernail is, that is the factory one. This is the one that I stuck on here. Originally I had this on the opposite side, and then when I would go to lock the bars this way, it ended up kind of in a weird situation where the brake line was actually sort of doubling over the ABS line and pinching it, and it was also pushing it into the metal part of the radiator here. So as you can see now, it just hits the plastic there, and it is not being pinched. As far as the brake line goes, best thing I can tell you is probably to have this down as far as you can go. Corey says 45-degree angle. It's kind of hard to see in there what 45 is anyways, and that's not really an exact measurement anyhow. But basically what I did was just kind of pushed it down as far as I could without putting stress on it. So as you can see, this is still loose here. But by having this down as far as it'll go, while still being comfortable, that allows for plenty of room in there, and that doesn't run into the factory wire chase up there. Otherwise it would. So again, something you're just going to kind of have to play with and figure out on your own. As far as the rest of it goes, one thing that I noticed that is different about my bike than the one that Corey was using in the Camel ADV video is that I've got this bracket that kind of sticks off the back and over like this, where his bike didn't have that part. So initially I had this brake line running down behind it, but I didn't really like how that looked, so I tried it this way. And as much as I don't like having it pinched in here, the rest of the angles all look a lot better to me now, and I like that. Ran in the front there. The only thing I guess that I would really have to worry about is this piece does kind of cut into it a little bit almost. However, this is just plastic, so probably not a big deal. If you had it ran around the back, it would be on this fairly sharp metal edge here. I definitely am not telling you to do it this way. I'm just saying that this is what worked best for me. You can definitely do whatever's going to work best for you, or whatever you think is going to work best. In order to kind of get these lines sucked out of the way, basically what I did was just sort of pulled all the slack from here, pushed it through up in here, and pulled it out this way. And then I've got my lines coming pretty much straight out. Alright guys, well I have embarrassingly bled the brakes I think like 3 or 4 times already, and I'm not really sure what's going on this last time. I kind of thought that I had this pretty well bleeded out, but I think that that still doesn't quite feel right. I think maybe the last time when I goofed it up, I actually sucked a little bit of air into here because that was getting kind of low. So I've got my little guy, my lovely assistant down here to squeeze the brakes. I'm going to, I think, do the right thing this time, and I've got a wrench on both sides, so I will crack them both loose and then crank them both tight once we feel like we've got all the air out of the system. I also
Had to get another bottle of .4 since my other bottle was empty by the time I was done goofing around with all this. So we'll set you guys down and we will crack these open and get to pumping. Oh good, we got the dehumidifier on, perfect.
You want me to turn that off quicker?
No, it's fine. Alright. Ready?
Yes.
Alright, we are open.
Pump?
Yep.
Yeah.
It sure doesn't seem like there's any air in there, I don't know. Alright, good morning. This project has gone on way too long, so I'm going to finish this up today. Here's all goofy. Finish this up today and put the fender on it. I will show you guys which one I picked in just a bit. First I'm just going to show you. So the brake lever on here is adjustable. And when I got the bike, this was set all the way at number 5, which means it was closest to the bar. And I honestly think that I had this thing bled perfectly the first time that I did it, but I wasn't used to having the brake lever that close to the bar, so I was thinking there was something wrong with it. Now that I've got it on the 5th setting, after dumping gallons of brake fluid through it, it feels much more like I would expect it to. So maybe you guys can tell me. I think that seems right. I don't know. I think I worry about things like that way too much. Not that brakes aren't something you shouldn't be concerned with, but I think I spent way too much time on stuff like that. So, anyways, big reveal. The fender that I picked is the Acerbis. Acerbis? Oh, that's what Corey called it. I don't know. I've always said Acerbis. I don't know what's right. But this is the Supermoto fender. Kind of weird. Definitely not my first choice. Actually, my first choice is so this is a long, full style fender off of a YZ125 or something like that. Just some Yamaha dirt bike. Definitely would have been my first choice. However, you've only got so much flat space up on the top here, and even if I was to re-drill holes as far back as they could possibly go, it would hit the plastic radiator guard. And like Corey says in his video, you can replace the plastic radiator guard with the Yamaha wire mesh one, but obviously I just put the RNG one in here. And to be honest, I kind of like having the double safety deal here where you got the plastic fins that kind of keep stuff even further away from the radiator guard, and then the fine mesh on the inside. Alright, so here we've got the templates. I'm just going to have to cut that out and then lay that on the back of the fender, lining it up, and then drilling the holes pretty much as far back as they will go on this flat section here. That is the hardware that we'll be using. So I've kind of lined that up. I don't know if Corey recommends the size or not, but I've got a 1/4 inch drill bit here that I'm going to be using. So I will get that cut, laid on there, and then we will drill some holes. The other thing that I kind of forgot to mention, I guess, and the other thing that I kind of forgot until I put this on here, is that we're not only trying to contend with the radiator spacing back here, but we also have to make sure that this isn't mounted too far back, that when the suspension comes up, this doesn't crash into the guards. And of course, one more thing to keep in mind is that when you are drilling these, you gotta remember that the head is gonna be bigger than the hole itself. So you don't wanna put it so far back that when you go to put the bolt in, you can't thread it all the way in because the head is running into the inside of this. So I think that's probably about all the farther back that you're gonna be able to go. Alright, so none of these went where I wanted them to, so I'm going to kind of try to correct that and also just use a bigger bit, and you can pretty much use any bit that's bigger than your head on your bolt here. So even with this one I should still have plenty of grab there. What do you think? Looking pretty good. What do you think? Yeah, definitely improves the look of the bike by far.
Oh yeah, much better. One thing to mention here is that I am a little bit nervous about the slots in this Fender. Obviously this is going to be nice because we're still going to get some airflow through these. However, we're also going to get some mud probably thrown up through those and probably behind those. So I'll kind of have to keep an eye on that when we do some muddier rides, see how much mud gets packed into the radiator. Hopefully a lot of it'll just hit this and just kind of get shed off through the bumps, but we'll just have to see. As far as clearance on this goes, there you go, plenty of clearance. And when you turn the bars, that's only going to get farther away. I've had to kind of slot these out a bit. I don't really know if there's going to be a good way to show you guys this. There we go. So I would say you definitely want your bolts pretty much as far back as you can get them. It really kind of seems like my fork guards here are going to be sort of close to where this fender bumps out here. But it's pretty much as far back as it's going to go. So I'm going to back those out and then put Loctite on all of them. Kind of readjust, make sure that it is as far forward as it can go and centered. Other than that, I think we'll pretty much call this wrapped up. So all in all, I would say that I could probably do this within an hour, I think, if I had to redo it now that I've kind of got some experience with it. First time, it does take a little bit of time getting all this lined up, but really definitely a good kit and something that I would recommend doing. I'm going to feel a lot better about having this fender way up high, so when I get mud all packed into the front tire, that it's not binding up underneath that fender or getting stuck to the bottom of the fender and then causing issues. The other thing that'll be really nice is that the brake lines are not thrown over the back of the tire, which I think, to be honest, seems like a pretty dangerous thing to have. I'm definitely going to be running sticks over with this bike, and I don't want them coming and blowing my my fender and my brake lines off. So I think having them up front like this is a great idea. We'll have to see how it holds up in the woods. We'll definitely get out into the woods and test this out. As far as the kit goes, it went together pretty smooth. No surprises really. Definitely a good, well thought out kit that I'm very happy to have on the bike. So big thanks to Corey for putting that together for us so we can get our fenders up high, looking good and in a safe spot. So guys, if you thought this video was helpful to you, again, it's not supposed to be how to. Look at your manual, figure out torque specs, do everything the way that that you think it should be done. Don't necessarily follow my advice. But hopefully this video was helpful, at least to give you guys an idea of kind of what it looks like to put this kit on. If it was helpful, make sure you give it a like. Leave me a comment down below. If you want to see this bike and this kit in action, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I will be putting videos out as soon as possible here. Hopefully sooner than later. And if you want to see some more videos right now, then check them out right here in front of my face. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, stay swanky, get out, and enjoy this beautiful world.